Hi guys, welcome back for another video. I'm Jess and I'm one of the creative designers here at Sizzix. Today I have some of the brand new Eileen Hull dies that I am going to get to play with. So we have here Tunnel Arches and Home Sweet Home. So these are two of the new dies from her collection, and I am going to hopefully create a fun 3D frame with a little bit of a twist. So stay tuned and we'll get started. Okay, so for our 3D frame, I am starting off with a box frame already. So I'm just gonna grab the frame that I'm using. So I am using a square frame. You can use whatever size frame you want to use. Bear in mind how big the Tunnel Arches die is. So you don't want it too big of a frame, otherwise your piece is gonna kind of get lost. So bear in mind the biggest one is going to fit nice into this frame, but it's going to leave me with a little bit of blank space, which I think will work nicely. And what I have done is I've taken, I'm going to knock all those off, there we go, all my pre-cut pieces. What I've actually done is I've cut 5 with the white one, square pieces to the same size of the frame. So I've used the backing piece as my guide. That's always a nice top tip. And I've done it in a gradient. So I've obviously got, going for a blue theme. I'm going for like a winter wonderland kind of theme. So I've started off with my really dark blue into my light blue, and then I've just got my white at the back. And they are all going to sit on top of one another. Obviously, we want to see through so we can see all the different colours. So I'm going to take that Tunnel Arches die. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Maker's Tape and I'm literally going to secure that in place roughly where I want it. Like so. This is just going to make sure when I run it through the machine, I know it's not going to move and it's going to stay in place. So we're obviously starting with the larger size arch, and I'm starting with the darker shade first. Just because I think this will be more effective. You could do it a different way, whatever kind of colour tone that you're going for. You could even do rainbow or all one colour if you wanted to. But I want it gradating into a lighter tone. So we've got one, and then to do the others, I'll just show you one for example. Let me move these out of the way. I'm going to place the second shade underneath, take the second arch in the kind of gradient, and hopefully secure that in place. So I know it's going to match up with the previous one. Ooh. Then I'm going to hopefully pick up just one layer and stick that down. So yeah, that's pretty central to where I want it. So I can take that off now, secure that in place again, and roll that through the machine again. So you want to do this in increments, going down smaller and smaller with all of the layers that you want. I'm only going to do 4 layers where I'm going to put the Tunnel Arches into, and I'm going to leave the white one blank at the back. So again, just rolling that through, nice and easy. And you can see we've got our next tunnel. So that will sit over the top like so. I've done that a little bit skew-whiff, but the ones that I did previously are perfect. So that's why we always want some that I've done previously before my video, because I'm always rushing a little bit in videos. So hopefully you can see the effect that we're going for there. And then my white one is going to sit at the back. Okay, and that is going to just be my backing piece. So I'm going to start and take this one and stick this on. So we're layering them up, but I want gaps in between. So I'm going to use foam tape to create that gap. Okay, so that is going to sit like that, okay? And then what I'm actually going to do is the twist that I was going to add on is some fairy lights. So I'm really hoping this will work out. I've got a really thin string of fairy lights. So they're like wire fairy lights, so you can manipulate them and move them wherever, and they're really nice and thin, but they're hopefully nice and bright once we light up. So that's going to sit on there, and I'm going to poke a hole through these two and then start to arrange the fairy lights. And we're hopefully going to have fairy lights within each layer, okay? So I'm going to take the foam tape off of this one. I'm just wondering whether to put some fairy lights in the backing piece. I might do actually. Let's poke the hole through first and get my fairy lights going first. See, you're learning with me, guys. So I know I roughly want my hole about, let's say here. So let's pop that through that white piece. Okay. And don't worry about the hole being messy because we're not going to see it. So we're going to feed that through like so. And I'm going to secure the battery section onto the back with some foam tape. And literally place it like that. And I can take some regular tape and secure that in place if I feel like I need to, which I feel like I do. I'm being good. I do normally cut sellotape with my teeth, but I'm not going to for the sake of this video. So, and actually I might work with the lights on just so I know how it's going to look. Because bear in mind, we've got to get through 4 layers, okay? So, I might just do a couple in the back here. Just cut a bit of tape. And bear in mind where the next one's going to go, so that needs to go upwards really. And use the arch as kind of your guideline to know where you want to tape the next bit. And don't get your tape on, like, don't put it lengthways if it's going to go into the where the arch is, if you know what I mean. Okay, so we've got a couple there. Then let's go ahead and poke my hole, which is going to end up being roughly around here. Bear in mind, you're not going to see this again. As long as we're not poking the hole too close to the edge, you're not going to see it. So we're literally going to poke that through. and thread this through. So that is going to sit like that. So we can now take the foam tape off of this layer and stick it down. And I think this is going to be the hardest layer because we're working with kind of like 2 layers at once, whereas almost every other layer we're literally going to just be working with the top layer basically, because the bottom layer will be secure. So I think this is hopefully going to be as hard as it gets. Hopefully it'll be rewarding at the end. So pull that through as much as you can. And layer it up as best as you can. We need everything to be in line, really. Make sure you're not getting the lights tangled in the foam tape as well. Okay. You could even do 2 layers of foam tape, to be honest, if you feel like this is not enough, but we'll see where we're at. Okay. So then you want to take your tape and tape this down around this arch. So how many have we got to get through? Like 2 more. So I'm probably going to put a few more onto this layer. Ooh. These lights do not want to cooperate with me. It's all part of the fun. Okay. I think I'm pretty happy with where those are sitting. So we can then grab our next layer and place that on. So again, adding foam tape around the edge. Let's figure out where our hole is going to go. I'm thinking I might pull that one through. So it's probably going to be further up, like here. And we're just going to carry on doing the same process, so wrapping them around, poking our hole through, putting our next layer on until we get to our very top layer where obviously we're not going to have any lights showing from the wire. So I will keep going until we have all of our lights encapsulated and all of our layers layered up. So I've layered all that up and we've got our lights all in place, and then literally just a switch on the back. And that should hopefully fit nicely into our frame. And you could just literally stop there, or you can place your back on if you want as well and secure it that way. Obviously, your lights aren't going to be as accessible that way, so just bear that in mind. I might just pop my back in and leave the lights on for now while we're just finishing it off, just to give you the full effect. So I'm just going to place that like so. Trying not to break any of my nails. So we have our frame, and then I'm going to decorate it using the other die, which is the Home Sweet Home die. Now this is a very sweet die. There's lots of fun little intricate bits, and you can kind of pick and choose which bits you want to use. So you could use just certain elements if you want to, completely up to you. I have pre-cut a lot of mine just because some of them are a little kind of fiddly, and we can start to adhere them together. So like I said, I'm going for a winter wonderland theme. So I've gone for using kind of white glitter cardstock for the bases instead of green. And then I've gone for like a silver moon and then a white fox and a deer. Okay, so I've got some of our express glue just in a fine tip tube, just because I find it a bit easier. So we can start to piece some of these bits together. I've got a couple of bits that I just needed to finish on the trees. So you literally just layer all the pieces up, and when you cut them, so things like the trees and the deer and the other little animals, they do have embossed lines, so you should know where everything needs to kind of sit. And you can use the packaging as reference for colours or whatever you want to do, okay? So we can then start to piece some of this in. So you can literally layer it up. I like to just have, I'll just grab my tweezers, and I literally just hold it in my tweezers, and then I just place a little bit of glue onto kind of the edges, because that's all that really needs to be secure. Oh, no, that's my fault. And then just place that inside, and then you can kind of like press it down so it's nice and secure, or kind of take your tweezers and pinch, okay? So you want a really good glue and a quick drying glue as well. And you don't have to use every piece. So obviously I'm going to use a couple here, but you don't have to use every single piece. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to work with, where you want to place bits. There's so many pieces in that one set that you could utilize. So just take your time. So I'm going to place a couple of these down, and I'll show you placing maybe a tree or one of the bigger elements, and then I'll start to kind of finish it off. So again, kind of secure it, get your tweezers in there and kind of clamp it. I find that that's one of the best solutions. You could even use 2 pairs of tweezers if you wanted to. And it is a little bit fiddly, but just bear with, take your time, no rush. It's quite therapeutic in a way, because you can just kind of like relax a little bit. Okay, then we can think about what trees we want to place in. So you're literally just placing them kind of dotted in. So I'd only put glue down the bottom if I wanted that one there. If I wanted my deer over here, like that. So I'm going to start to piece all of my last little bits on using the glue and my tweezers, and then we'll come back when I've got all of those pieces in place. So I think I've got everything in place where I want it. So I actually used a mixture of glue and some foam tape. So the little kind of square pieces of foam tape I used to raise things like the little fox and the moon and even some of the clouds, and I stuck some of the trees and stuff onto like the foreground but also onto the background as well. So utilize what you've got, but you can kind of see how beautiful it all works together and comes together to create this gorgeous scene. Now I'm going to get my lovely cameraman to dim the lights ever so slightly, so hopefully you can see it come to life with the light in. Hopefully my vision is going to come to life and kind of show you guys how you can obviously do it with those fairy lights and then make that kind of gorgeous lit one from within effect. So there you go. Super pretty. Really, really cute. Obviously you can do it without the lights. You could just do it with the kind of layered arches and the scene if you wanted to. And you could change this out for different scenes and different seasons. So you could have an autumn one, a spring one, a summer one, and just changing up the colours every time. But how cute is this? And I think super rewarding to do for anybody, for sure. So hopefully you enjoyed watching and following along with me. If you guys managed to get your hands on some of the brand new Eileen Hull dies, obviously from the Sizzix website or any of your local retailer, then please share with us any inspiration that you guys make with it, or even if you recreate one of these gorgeous light up frames. We love to see it here at Sizzix. But I think that is all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. But until then, stay safe and keep crafting. Thanks. Bye.